The Knicks just finished beating the Memphis Grizzlies by the score of 114 to 113. And the biggest topic of today's game is Mitchell Robinson is finally back on an NBA court for the New York Knicks. It's your boy Dariel. Let's get right into today's game. Knicks beating the Memphis Grizzlies and OG Anunoby hitting that big time three-pointer to put the Knicks up 114 to 113. Listen, as I was watching the game, there were a lot of takeaways that I had. One of the takeaways that I had was just like I just felt like the Memphis Grizzlies were getting to the rim just at ease. There were certain moments in the game where I thought it was going to end up being a blowout, but luckily we were able to get everything back together and leave Memphis with a W. But more specifically, Jalen Brunson, that play where he broke down the defense, he penetrated the paint, and he gave that kick out to OG and Anunoby. I just want to highlight that most players that if they're put in that position, I feel like that they would have forced that shot. Jalen Brunson is at the top of the key. He sees the double team coming. He drives in the opposite direction of where the double team is coming. He finally gets 2 feet in the paint and he kicks it out to OG and Anunoby. And OG and Anunoby wasn't necessarily open. There was a defender. I couldn't pinpoint, and I can't remember who it is right now, but there was a defender close enough to put a hand to OG and Anunoby's face. OG and Anunoby, luckily for us Knicks fans, was able to nail it. But I just wanted to highlight and give some flowers to Jalen Brunson because if that was any other best player on your team, if you will, I feel like that player would have definitely forced his hand and tried to draw a foul or just tried to be the hero and make the game-winning shot. So Jalen Brunson, shout out to you. But I think the biggest topic of the game is, like I said in the opening, I think it's just the fact that we were able to see Mitchell Robinson get on an NBA court and actually just get up and down the court. Again, his very first game since game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Indiana Pacers. Like, we knew this. If you guys caught the live that I did in Knicks Happy Hour before this game, shout out to you. Salute to all you guys. But we talked about Mitchell Robinson being questionable for today's game, and then it went to available, and then next thing you know, it was that he's going to be making his season debut in tonight's game. And as I was keeping up with the news, like the one thing that I said is that us Knicks fans, we should just be happy just to see him on the court. So the expectations should be very low. He still has to get his stamina up. He still has to get his conditioning up. He still has to get the offensive feel, the defensive feel. All that stuff is going to come with time. But the earlier that he was able to come back, the better, because now he's going to have more time to acclimate to all those things. But as far as tonight, Mitchell Robinson, he had 6 points, 3 or 4 from the floor, grabbing 5 rebounds with 1 assist in 12 minutes that he played. But it's just an amazing sight to see Mitchell Robinson. And this is something that I talked about during the live. Mitchell Robinson coming back to the lineup, coming back to the team, is not necessarily going to fix the Knicks' problems. Right now, we're the 3rd seed. Boston's number 2 and Cleveland's number 1. Those are the only 2 teams that I'm very nervous about seeing in the playoffs. Detroit, right now, they're the number 6 seed. And if the playoffs started today, we'd be facing off against the Detroit Pistons. But the playoffs don't start today, luckily. But Detroit, we as Knicks fans, we got to keep an eye on Detroit because they're making some noise. Cade Cunningham is making an actual case for being a top 10. Yes, I said it. A top 10 NBA player for this season. But that's a story for another day. But Mitchell Robinson coming back to the lineup, it doesn't necessarily fix a lot of the problems that we have, specifically perimeter defense. Jalen Brunson, Boston Celtics being able to switch everything, bigger players guarding Jalen Brunson, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Drew Holiday is not bigger than Jalen Brunson, but he's looked at as one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. So Cat with his Boston Celtics being able to put Cat in switches galore, like Mitchell Robinson is not necessarily going to fix that. But what Mitchell Robinson is going to be able to do specifically for Cat, he's going to be able to relieve some of that stress. Just always depending on him to be that defensive anchor. Whenever somebody beats Jalen or Josh or Mikal or OG, whenever someone beats them off the dribble, Cat is the last line of defense. So we're expecting Cat to do a lot on the offensive end. But then we're also expecting him to be our defensive anchor. That's a lot to put on one player. So Mitchell Robinson finally getting his first game under his belt, and I feel like it could only go up from here. I was looking at the way Mitchell Robinson was moving up and down the court. It wasn't looking like he was limping. It wasn't looking like he was dragging anything. I remember when he came back last year, it was the game where Jalen Brunson had a 60 burger ball against the San Antonio Spurs in San Antonio. I think that was Mitchell Robinson's comeback game after an injury. He was out for a while, and I think that was his, I don't want to say season debut, but He had an injury, and I think that was his first game for a while. But I was watching Mitchell Robinson in that game specifically, and I remember thinking, I was like, nah, I don't think he's all there. I don't think he's all there yet. So yeah, I was keeping an eye on Mitchell Robinson, and he looked good. He looked good, just going up and down court. He looked super tired at times, but he hasn't played since, like I said, game one of the semifinals against the Indiana Pacers, which is close to a year now. So give him a little bit of slack. Other than Mitchell Robinson, I want to give a huge shout out to the Deuce is loose. Yo, Deuce McBride, bro. 17 points, 7 of 11 from the field, 3 of 5 from three-point line, grabbing 4 rebounds, dishing out 3 assists, 28 minutes that he played. He also had 2 steals. Yo, Deuce, I'm telling you guys, the lead that he's taken this season, the confidence, the putting the ball on the deck and yamming it on someone. Like, he's done this a couple of times this season, and I guess you could kind of see glimpses in his confidence rising, especially in that season opener against the Boston Celtics. Deuce, I think, came off the bench with like 24 points, 25 points. He only missed 3 shots. He was 8 of 10 from the field, and I think he missed and I think he was 2 of 3 from three-point line. He only missed 3 shots, and I remember that he was as far as on the Knicks side, he was the highlight of that game because it was the first game of the season. Jalen Brunson was trying to implement Cat and Mikhail, so there was a lot going on with the Knicks. But I remember taking away that Deuce McBride, his confidence level has gone to another level in that season opener against the Boston Celtics. But tonight, yo, if Deuce is able to do this in the playoffs, 17 points is great, but what I'm looking more so from Deuce or anybody coming off the bench, I'm looking for that confidence. I'm looking for you to going out there and playing and not necessarily playing to make a mistake. I want to see the confidence, you being able to put the ball on the floor, blow by your defender, and make a play for you or for one of your teammates. And Deuce McBride, he's like, there's been examples throughout the whole season where he's been doing that. Yo, Deuce, shout out to you, my guy. When you yammed it, when you took it off the dribble and you yammed it on somebody, it was on Santi Aldama, and I think it was in the first half. Yo, Deuce is just surprising me, man. And another thing, Mitchell Robinson coming back, he came off the bench tonight. Towards the end of the regular season, maybe Coach Tibbs puts him in the starting lineup. If Mitch goes to the starting lineup, I think Josh is going to be the one to go to the bench. And if Josh goes to the bench, Josh would probably be the 6th man off the bench. But then we would also have Deuce. So the depth, depending on how Coach Tibbs wants to play it, and then of course, depending on the matchups that we see in the playoffs, with Mitchell Robinson coming back, it could make one of the starting 5 players, more likely Josh Hart, go to the bench, which would add a lot of depth. But then if Josh Hart goes to the bench and the confidence that Deuce has been displaying all season, like it'll definitely ease my mind on some of the concerns that I have for the Knicks. As far as the rest of the starting 5, Jalen Brunson had 23 points, 10 of 23 from the field, 2 of 6 from three-point line, converting his only free throw shot with 6 assists, 3 steals, 7 rebounds in the 36 minutes that he played. Cat, 11 points, 4 of 11 from the field, 1 of 5 from three-point line, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 31 minutes. Cat also had a block. Josh Hart had 12 points. He had 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. 2 of 6 from the floor, 1 of 2 from the three-point line, 7 of 8 from free throws. In the 29 minutes he played. OG Anunoby had 19 points, and of course, 3 of those 19 points was the game winner. 7 of 17 from the floor, 4 of 10 from three-point line, 1 of 1 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 38 minutes. Mikal Bridges, 15 points, 7 of 14 from the floor, 0 of 5 from three-point line. Don't like that. 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, no steals with 2 blocks, 33 minutes. Mikal Bridges, I was talking about this during the live as well. I think Mikal Bridges from here on out, we need Mikal Bridges to have a box score of specifically points-wise, anywhere from 18 to 25. We really need Mikal Bridges to start implementing himself into the offense because there are times where I kind of forget that he's out there. I kind of forget it. He's out there because he's just not involved. He's not involved, and what that looks like is like him in the corner. So I'm gonna keep an eye on Mikal Bridges. If Mikal Bridges is able to up his level of playing, then the conversation with the addition of Mitchell Robinson, with the confidence of Deuce McBride, and if Mitchell Robinson is in the starting 5, Josh Hart going to the bench, adding some depth to the bench, then the conversation could start changing as far as like the tiers that I have the Eastern Conference teams. Boston and Cleveland are my 1 tier. Knicks are the first team in the second tier, but there is a clear gap between tier 1 and tier 2. But you never know. We'll see how the remaining of the season goes. One of the things that I found interesting just about this game is the Memphis Grizzlies are the 3 seed with a record of 38-21, and they're 500 in their last 10, 5-5. But there is a bit of a dichotomy between the Knicks and the Memphis Grizzlies. Like MSG, they put up this graphic during the game. They were talking about specific areas in the game, like the starter minutes. The Knicks are first because obviously Coach Tibbs runs his players into the ground, so everybody knows that. Everybody knows that narrative. So the Knicks are first. The Memphis Grizzlies are actually 30th. As far as starter points, the Knicks are first because Coach Tibbs plays them religiously. The Memphis Grizzlies are 18th. Bench minutes, the Knicks are last because Coach Tibbs plays his starters in incredibly high minutes. And then the Memphis Grizzlies are first. So Taylor Jenkins, he relies on his bench. And then that's bench minutes. Bench points, it's the same thing as the bench minutes. The Knicks are 30th as far as bench points, and the Memphis Grizzlies are first as far as bench points. So I just found that very interesting how the dichotomy between two different teams, and one coach runs his players into the ground, but they're the third seed in the East. The other team in the Western Conference is third in the West, but Taylor Jenkins has more of a holistic type of view where like everybody's gonna have an opportunity to make an impact on the team. And Coach Tibbs is the exact opposite. So that graphic and that stat that MSG put up was very interesting, and I just wanted to come here and highlight that. But guys, I want to say thank you so much for checking out this video. Mitchell Robinson is back, so now we can give it a couple of weeks, maybe give it until the end of March or like middle or end of March to see where Mitchell Robinson is as far as his stamina and conditioning. Hopefully nobody else gets hurt. There's no knick-knack injuries. Hopefully Kaz's going to be able to play through his, like I said, knick-knack injuries, the knee, the thumb, the finger. And hopefully no hiccups arise. But again, thank you so much for checking this video out. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about the Knicks' effort against the Memphis Grizzlies tonight and getting that big W. OG Anunoby coming through with the big-time shot. Mitchell Robinson coming back onto the court after nearly a year. But you guys know the drill. Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs. The Deuce is Deuce for co-MVP. OG Anunoby, speedy recovery. You did it. So now it's back to OG Anunoby for Defensive Player of the Year. Even though it's probably going to go to like Dyson Daniels or somebody else. Or it was going to go to Wemby, but Wemby went out with that blood clot. So get well soon, Wemby. So now it might actually go to the person that we actually faced off against tonight in Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. But Dyson Daniels is definitely in the conversation. Taj Gibson for president, almost forgot. But Taj Gibson, always be a New Yorker forever and ever. And until next time, you know what it is. Queens get the money. Queens get the money, long time no cash. New York or nowhere. New York forever. And I'm out. Peace.